Welcome to Iraq in 7 Minutes. I'm Eric Gustafson, and joining me is Omar al-Nadawi, editor of Epic's Iraq Reports, also known as Isham. Greetings and salutations, Omar.
Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Good, good. So, if you value this content, please take a minute to like and subscribe to our channel. Here's a recap of some key events captured in this week's Isham. Yazidi leaders unveiled plans to build new Kocho near the site of the 2014 ISIS massacre that devastated the original village, leaving only 75 survivors of the 1,500 residents. Construction is set to begin in September, backed by IOM, UNDP, and Nadia's initiative, which was founded by one of Kocho's survivors and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Nadia Murad. Healthcare professionals in Baghdad protested near the finance ministry this week, demanding the release of 30,000 promised jobs, leading to clashes with security forces. Dozens of injuries were reported from both sides. Iraqi oil officials announced that future contracts with BP to develop Kirkuk's oil fields will shift to a profit-sharing model instead of the traditional technical service fee model. This marks a significant departure in Baghdad's oil policy. And the IOM reported that climate-driven displacement in southern Iraq has risen sharply, with 24,500 families, that's more than 147,000 people, forced to leave their homes and livelihoods due to water shortages and environmental degradation. So now let's shift to some analysis, shall we? This week, we learned of a new security agreement between Turkey and Iraq. The agreement was signed on August 15th during Iraqi Foreign Minister Fuad Hussein's visit to Ankara. And this week, the text of that agreement was leaked to the press and published by Rudau and other media outlets. Omar, can you share with us precisely what is in the agreement and how it might impact the balance of powers between Ankara and Baghdad, but more importantly, the balance of powers among the major political blocs, both within Iraq and the Kurdistan region?
Yeah, this latest agreement is a continuation of the formalization of security cooperation between Baghdad and Ankara, which began to accelerate since the visit by President Erdogan to Baghdad in May earlier this year. So we have been hearing about a security agreement between Baghdad and Ankara, but it was interesting to see some of the details emerge earlier this week. And there were two important provisions or two important parts of this agreement. The first is it lays out the structure and operations of a joint security coordination center, which will be based in Baghdad. So there will be major general ranking officers from both sides who will be in constant contact to coordinate operations. And these are basically Turkish operations against the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which is the main security interest of Turkey on Iraqi soil. So this will be a center that will be manned 24/7 to make sure that the Iraqi side knows what's happening. So in a way, this is a normalization of Turkish operations inside Iraq. The fact that they're going to be conducted in coordination makes them less violations of Iraqi sovereignty and more of a joint security operation between two sovereign governments in charge. The other part, which is actually a little bit more interesting, is the fact that it seems to provide for the transformation of a security base or a military base that Turkey has established in the town of Bashiqa, north of Mosul, since 2015. It provides for the transformation of this base into a joint security training center for both Iraqi and Turkish security forces. And the text of the agreement mentions that the Iraqi government will actually be in charge of providing logistics and security and protection for this space. And this space has been very problematic for Iraqi-Turkish relations because it, it initially was put there within the context of Turkey joining the fight against ISIS, but ISIS was defeated. The base did not go away, and instead it became a form of incursion, of Turkish incursion into Iraqi territory, and a base for Turkish operations against the PKK. Became a magnet for attacks against Turkish forces, both by the PKK itself, by affiliates of the PKK, and even by units or armed groups that have affiliations with the Popular Mobilization Forces. And we have seen a lot of pressure from Iran-backed militias on Baghdad and on Ankara to remove this base from Iraqi territory. So the fact that this agreement could provide for Iraqi protection and legitimization of this base, well, it could mean that Turkish presence, military presence in Iraq is going to be there to stay for the foreseeable future, and it's going to be a normalized and legalized presence, not a violation of Iraqi sovereignty. So this is definitely going to perhaps upset some actors in Baghdad who have been very hostile to Turkish presence. And there might be some resistance to it from political blocs in the Kurdistan region that are more sympathetic to the PKK than others. And typically in Kurdistan, I think the PUK has been more sympathetic to the PKK than the Kurdistan Democratic Party or the KDP. So I think it's also interesting that the top Iraqi negotiator here, the Foreign Minister Fuad Hussein, is a senior figure in the KDP. So that may have played a role in facilitating the negotiations. And it is still early to see what reactions will emerge. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see what happens in the next few days and weeks.
Mumtaz, shukran jazilan, Omar. I was going to ask some follow-up questions, but you covered everything, all of my follow-up questions in terms of the political actors. So thank you for that analysis. That's all for this episode of Iraq in 7 minutes. For our new report on the health and environmental impact of gas flaring in Iraq and much more, visit us at enablingpeace.org. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Until next time, maslama.